Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel for another art journaling video. I am starting my page which has already something on it, and it's some just Payne's Gray acrylic paint which I smeared on because it was left over, and then once that was dry I covered the whole spread into clear gesso so I can work on top with watercolors. Before I go in with the watercolors, I wanted to stamp something to the page directly, so I have something going on the background. And I'm using some letters of our alphabet, or of our A to Z stamp set. It's an alphabet stamp set with 2 different types of letters, and I decided to type the word create and then stamp that to the page with waterproof ink. And I'm using StazOn ink to stamp that. And then I plan to go on top with watercolors. I recently shared a video tutorial already with watercolors in this art journal. I used a neon pink together with some granulating colors, and that's what I'm going to do today again. The journal I'm working in is from Action, which is a quite a cheap discount store here in Europe. And the journal has not really good quality paper, but it's a very thick paper. And the journal opens completely flat, and it has a really nice size of around 8.5 inch in a square format. And I really love the journal, and for the paper I just prime it with clear gesso so it can work perfectly in it with watercolors or other mediums, or I just play with collage on the background, then it's also fine. I just do not paint directly on the paper itself because it's not very good, but the journal is around €3 I think, so it's definitely the best journal I have. I'm typing the word create as there is only one E in the set. Of course, I have to stamp the E again in the second round for the word. But I wanted to have 2 different types of letters in this set, so I have only one letter or one stamp per letter. I really love this stamp set. I use it quite a lot. Because I think it's very versatile. You can use it to build texture on a background or to create a variety of titles for art journal pages, or also sometimes for greeting cards. I'm starting the page by laying down some opera pink watercolor. It's a fluorescent kind of color, and I really love it together with the granulating colors that I have used also the last time. I recently made myself a palette with only my granulating watercolors, so I have them all in one place, and I really love them and enjoy playing with them, especially with mixed media. But they are also really nice for landscape sketching in my Royal Talents sketchbook. I posted a swatching video for my members recently, and that was kind of a bonus video of all the granulating watercolors. And there is also another extra tutorial for an art journal page using these watercolors. I'm playing intuitively as always. I try not to make mud with the color mixing, and I'm mixing in a yellowish granulating color from Mijello. I really love a yellow color mixed with the opera pink. It gives a wonderful reddish apricot tone, and that's almost my favorite color, I would say. As a contrast to the reds, I'm using green. I love this as a complementary color, and I also used this color palette in my last art journal pages, and I really enjoy this color combo. It's so bright and vibrant, and I think it's maybe because of the upcoming season. I'm a big spring fan. I think that's my favorite season because of the birds starting to sing, and also the first flowers growing. And I love when the airs get that fresh smell with that flower touch, and that's just what I'm looking forward, and maybe this is the reason why I love this color combination. I am also using the ultramarine from Mijello. It's a very granulating color and such a lovely bright blue. And I'm mixing it in. I try to not to mix it too much with the orangey parts because that will create a gray color. And I try not to make too much mud on my page. I'm now going to let that spread dry, and then I'm coming back to bring in some texture with a stencil. And you can see that I have also started on the left side, and that video is already up on YouTube and you can watch that. I will link it up in the top right corner info cards. I'm cleaning my stencil, which I plan to use with some heavy gesso later in the process. But first I want to bring in some different texture to the background using our dot stencil just together with water. I used this technique already in my last video, or in the video that you can watch when you watch the video for the left side. But here it was the first time I tried this technique, and I really liked how it worked. I let the water sit for a few seconds to give the pigment some time to get reactivated, and then I go in with a paper towel to dab everything off, and that will leave that dot pattern on my background, and really like that slight texture you get here. I'm going to let that dry again, and then I come in with our ornament stencil, and I'm using heavy gesso to add some texture through this stencil onto my page. You can use a texture paste, of course, as well, but I think heavy gesso works super nicely, and I always think about buttering a bread when I apply a paste through a stencil. I only wipe it in one direction. I do not go up and down. I just go from the upper part towards down side, I would say, and I try to press the stencil quite good on my page to avoid running the gesso running under the stencil. And that worked quite nicely, and I decided to add a little bit more to the bottom of the page. Once I have applied the gesso, I'm going to let that dry completely, and usually I leave that overnight so I can be sure that it's completely dry. In the meantime, I have finished the left page, and as I said, I've linked the video tutorial in the top right corner, and there you can watch it. And As always, I'm going to link up all the products and the blog post in my video description. Here I'm making some white splatters, and of course I'm using that Art Graf Tailor Shape crayon, which I love and I use a lot in my videos, and that makes the most opaque white splatters. As a focal image, I picked one of the collage photo pieces I made a few videos ago. I will also link that up in the top right corner info box. And I made this from jelly printed scraps and some stamped images from our Pencil Marks number 8 stamp set. And I plan to adhere this to my spread. But before I'm going to do it, I will add some extra stamping to bring in texture and mark making. The stamp I'm using here is one of the numbers from the new Mix It Up 7 stamp set. I think every kind of text or number stamp will work. I really like text or numbers combined with mixed media, and I think that just gives it some more interest. I'm thinking about adding that butterfly because the yellow is perfect in this space of the page. And I'm now adhering that focal point just with some wet craft glue. And I put something heavy on top so it can dry. And I'm also thinking about that butterfly and if I should add it or not. I think it's a bit unbalanced when I adhere it to the top right, because I also have that focal image on the right, but I really like that yellow, and I think when I put both images maybe closer together, then it will work just as one focal point, and I think then it's okay to glue it down in this space because it's not so far apart from each other. Here I just put that yellow leaf in to see if this will fit, but I thought that just looks so weird, and then I decided to finally adhere that butterfly. On the left art journal page, I did some stamping with watercolor with the neon pink or the opera pink and one of the small flowers from the new Pencil Marks stamp set. And I really liked that technique and the way it looked, and I decided to add these also to this spread, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm painting the stamp with watercolor and then I stamp it 2 or 3 times to my page. I also used that pink color to add a few splatters to the spread. And that is finishing up my page. Here is a photo of the finished spread. I hope you enjoyed that video and you are inspired, and I hope we will see us next time. Bye!